This is News 8 This Morning.
I know you may need to leave here to get off to work or get the kids to school, but we are going to have a life-saving, important conversation that you need to just give yourself a few minutes to hear this morning. I want to introduce you to my guest. This is Morgan Ballis from DMB Consultants, an expert when it comes to the worst case scenario of dealing with an active shooter. You know a lot about this, Morgan, because your mom was in one of these situations.
Yeah, my journey down this road really began back in 2011. I was active duty in the Marines, and my mom survived the Congresswoman Gabrielle Gifford's attack in Tucson, Arizona, and it was life-changing for me. And I started to ask myself questions: what do I know? What does the data say? And how can we be able to protect ourselves during these incidents?
And so you went on to study these situations, and I know you're getting your doctorate in emergency management, is that right? And you've had a chance to take a look at shootings over time, and you're noticing patterns and things that are happening and information we can take in order to try to save ourselves.
Yeah, so what we do is we look at the empirical data put out by the FBI and other agencies, and what we try to do is we try to see what are the patterns, what are the high percentage different areas, what does response look like, what does law enforcement engagement look like, what are the time of the events, and how are these events being resolved to guide us in our best practices and our training.
So right now we are going to give you 3 to 4 different things you can do in case you ever find yourself, God forbid, in one of these situations. Let's just start with tip number 1. What do you want people to know?
Well, awareness is always important. The challenge is that these lone wolf attacks, and Poway is a great example, they target people when they're at their lowest awareness levels. So if I'm at church, I'm there to worship. I'm not there to be concerned about security features. Same thing with schools. I'm there to learn, or I'm there to teach as an educator. But awareness is simply knowing where my exits are as we start to look at an options-based response, so that way I can best utilize those options if they need to become available.
Do you go into every building, Morgan, and start looking for the exit locations?
Well, I think naturally for me, I am hypersensitive to this mindset, and I understand that not everyone is. And it's not that we want to introduce fear. You don't have to be fearful, but it's simply, as I walk in, I can identify 2 or 3 different exits, and I say, if a bad guy comes in here,
like we've got an exit over here,
then maybe I'm going to choose to run over here if I need to escape.
So this is Ryan. He's one of our writers, and let's say he's walking right into a room right now. What are we doing?
So if an intruder has already come into my safe space, I have different options. Some of those options may be choose to counter or to resist that attack. And really my goal, I don't need to necessarily tackle him or physically engage him. My goal is to disrupt his ability to engage targets. And really what that looks like is we have natural reaction to stimulus, and that stimulus is we start to, and I don't even
pick up whatever you can find.
Yeah, so whether it's a chair, if I'm picking up a chair, if I'm picking up a water bottle, if anything of that nature, the idea is I just need to disrupt his ability to engage targets.
Okay, so if you are brave enough to confront somebody, you don't necessarily have to be tackling them to the ground, just immediate distraction.
That's it. I need to disrupt his ability, and then from there I have other options. Then I can maybe choose to escape. Or if I want to continue and make the personal decision like we did in Poway to fully engage this individual, I can fully engage him.
Okay.
But we see this time and time again. Sandy Hook is a great example. Jesse Lewis, when that shooter had a malfunction, he yelled, "Run." And what that did was it immediately got the attention of the other students. He saved 9 of those students' lives. It takes one person. It takes one person in a crisis to be a leader, and other people will follow.
We saw that in the Poway situation too. Somebody was willing to confront the shooter, and maybe that was just enough to get him to leave the building. Let's also talk about talking to anything else, by the way, that we can do, like the moment that guy comes in, he's got a gun, bullets are flying, what do we do?
I just want to say this, is that statistically speaking, citizens that choose to engage the suspect, even when they're unarmed, statistically overwhelmingly win that encounter. In schools, it's almost 40% of school active shooters are stopped by unarmed staff, administrators, or even students deciding to engage that individual. And for patrol officers, this is the easiest fight you will ever win. That person is not committed to this fight. They cannot outgun you on your worst day. Wow. You can win this fight.
Okay. We're pretty much out of time here, but our kind of alleviating fear with people, because we've been through situations like this at our place of employment to know what to do. And we all get kind of scared.
Absolutely.
And I know we're flat out of time here, but real quick, advice to alleviate the fear.
We just got to be cautious as trainers that we're not creating extra emotional or psychological harm for our stakeholders, especially when we're talking about children. We need to be sensitive to our demographics, and we don't want to cause any negative impacts when it comes to training.
All right, super important information. We appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you so much.
And as we were chatting about during the commercial break, Eric, his goal is to someday not have any more work to do when it comes to this, to almost work himself right out of a job because we're not dealing with these scenarios anymore.
Wouldn't we just love that? Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, hopefully someday that's going to become reality.
Yeah,
All right,
I hope
thanks
so
a
too.
lot.